Our everyday lives often involve waking up in the morning and going to work. We show up at work, get our work done for the day, and then go back home. Sounds simple, right? However, for some unfortunate people, this was not the case. What should have been a mundane event in their daily lives quickly turned sinister, and they went missing. So, here are 10 people who mysteriously disappeared from their workplace.
Jim Donnelly was a scientist who worked at the Glenbrook Steel Mill in southwest Auckland, New Zealand. But on the 21st of June 2004, he mysteriously vanished from his workplace. Just like any other day, on the morning of his disappearance, Donnelly had left his home and gone to work. He had then arrived at work, parked his car, and gone into his office at the mill. However, after that, it is unclear what happened to him. Tracy Donnelly, Jim Donnelly's wife, strongly believes that her husband's disappearance had something to do with the steel mill. According to her, the weeks before her husband's disappearance was strained at home. Donnelly even seemed troubled about something but would not share it with his wife. During the subsequent investigation, it was also revealed that Donnelly had arrived at a friend's office to talk to him but was not allowed in for trespassing. Nearly 2 decades later, however, this case still remains unsolved. In 2022, a 28-year-old woman named Ariel Smith went missing from her workplace moments after her shift ended. She was a convenience store employee who worked at the Claravel Little Sioux food store in Heathsville, Virginia. On 12 Jan, not long after 9 p.m., she had closed up the store and stepped outside to take out the trash. The store's surveillance camera then caught her going behind the building to the trash cans, but was then never seen since. Before she vanished, the camera also caught her going out to start her car and coming back inside. She was also seen briefly getting inside another car in the parking lot, but after questioning the driver, the police deemed them not a suspect. The next morning, Smith's car was found by a clerk, still running. The police later said that they had identified a suspect and may even have found a body that matched Smith's description. After an extensive search operation throughout the day, search crews located a body, matching the description of Ariel Smith, on property in Heathsville, the Northumberland County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. The body will be sent to the Richmond County Medical Examiner for an autopsy. Earlier in the day, the office announced that it would be partnering with federal, state, and local agencies to conduct multiple searches for Ariel Smith, telling civilians to suspend their own search parties and expect an increased police presence in the county. On Saturday, Tyrone Samuel, 50, of Heathsville, was arrested and charged with Smith's abduction, according to a statement from the sheriff's office. He is now expected to face more charges, officials said. On the 28th of July 1986, Suzy Lampleuk went missing after a meeting with a client. Lampleuk, aged 25 at the time, was a real estate agent and was last said to have gone to a meeting with a client named Mr. Kipper. She was meeting the mysterious client at Shore Olds Road, Fulham in London, where she was scheduled to show him around a property. But after this meeting, she was never seen again. The police soon launched an investigation and found her car parked 1.5 miles away from her scheduled meeting place with Mr. Kipper. Her keys were missing from the car, but the police found her purse inside. They later questioned convicted serial killer John Cannon, who also happened to be known as Kipper in prison. Although he has denied all allegations, Cannon remains the primary suspect in this case that has yet to be solved. Around 4:30 a.m. on the 18th of January 2022, a Stanford hospital nurse named Michael Adele abruptly left his job mid-shift. He worked as a neurological nurse in the intensive care unit of the hospital and had stepped outside after telling his supervisor that he had forgotten something in his car. Although he had said he would return shortly, Adele never did and simply vanished. He was later reported missing by his roommate when he did not come home from his night shift at the hospital. Adele's phone was later traced to its last known location near Dumbarton Bridge, where the authorities discovered his car and had it towed. His body was recovered 2 days later from Fremont, California by the Alameda County Sheriff Office's dive team. During this time, many people offered their services online to help the investigation and even set up a fund to pay for the funeral costs. On the 28th of February 1977, a legal secretary named Loy Evans went missing while at work. She had gone out in the afternoon to have a late lunch and run some errands but was not seen again. On the day of the incident, she went out on her break, got her to watch adjusted, walked around the stores at the Country Club Plaza, and went over to a drugstore to buy a cup of coffee and an umbrella. She is then said to have returned to her workplace and parked her car in the same spot as she had in the morning when she first arrived at work. The police later conducted an extensive investigation and interviewed about 200 people. They also found her new umbrella in the car, but she was nowhere to be seen. According to the officials, she is likely to have been abducted, but the case remains unsolved. 52-year-old Trafael Evans was an antique store owner who went mysteriously missing in 1990. On the 16th of June of that year, Evans put up a note on her shop in Llangollen, Wales saying that she would be back in 2 minutes. She then left her store, bought a banana and an apple, and was seen crossing the road near Castle Street. The authorities believe that she had then returned to the shop because a banana skin was found in a waste bin there. However, there are no witnesses to this, and it is unclear where exactly she may have gone afterward. She had also left her handbag and jacket at the shop, along with some fruits and flowers she had intended to take home. Her last known sighting was near her home on Market Street. The case quickly turned into a big deal and a detailed investigation followed suit. However, even decades later, the case remains open and unsolved.
On the 2nd of December 1919, a Canadian theatre magnate named Ambrose Small disappeared without a trace. On that same day, he had closed the sale of his vast theatrical holdings to Trans-Canada Theatres Limited and received a cheque for a handsome amount of money. According to Mr. Small's attorney, E.W.M. Flock, this sum was then immediately deposited in the bank. The lawyer was also the last to see Mr. Small in his office at around 5:30 p.m. on the 2nd of December, where the duo had been in a meeting regarding the sale of the properties. The next day, however, Mr. Small had simply vanished. But the case did not gain public attention until much after Mr. Small had disappeared. Some then speculated that he had been murdered while others claimed he had simply run away. However, to this day, Mr. Small's whereabouts remain a mystery despite all the attention. Keisha Hall was an 18-year-old girl who went missing from her after-school workplace on Fawcett Road in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. There, she had been employed by a Dr. Larry Emmets who ran a non-profit organization from his home. On the 9th of May 1994, Hall had spoken to her mother on the phone at about 8 p.m., after which her mother fell asleep. When she woke up later that night, she realized that Hall had never come home. She then called Dr. Emmets, who said that Hall had left his house around 8:30 p.m. He also said that Hall had been picked up by an unknown driver, but according to her parents, no one had been scheduled to pick her up. A co-worker said that Hall had claimed she would be walking home that night. In 2011, based on new evidence, the police executed a search warrant at Dr. Emmets' house, but it turned up nothing. Lee Shepherd was a 26-year-old man who worked as a supervisor at the EMR recycling plant in North London. On the 30th of January 2003, he was last seen by a colleague named Ahrea'l Smith during a night shift but has been missing ever since. For years, the case remained unsolved, and the police speculated that Shepherd had run away or had been a victim of foul play. However, a private investigator hired by Shepherd's family uncovered new evidence in the case and changed its course. According to this evidence, Shepherd had likely been killed inside one of the refrigerator crushing machines at the plant. On the night of Shepherd's disappearance, the machine was reported to be malfunctioning. As a result, Shepherd may have stepped inside it to check and then been knocked unconscious by the faulty degusser. Later, the machine may have crushed him inside it, leading to his disappearance. However, neither Shepherd's body nor any DNA evidence was ever recovered from the plant. Susan Taraski, which was last seen alive on the 12th of September 1992 during her shift at Logan Airport, where she worked as a supervisor for Northwest Airlines. On that day, she had stepped out to buy some sandwiches for her colleagues but never returned. 2 days later, her vehicle was found parked at a local automobile repair shop and her badly beaten body was found in its trunk. Her body also had stab wounds on it. Not long after her death, many of Taraski's colleagues were implicated in a credit card scam that the police believe was related to her death. According to her family, the 27-year-old woman had also been facing harassment at her workplace for a while before her disappearance. In the last few years, the case has received renewed interest and support from the authorities. Taraski's employer, Northwest Airlines, now Delta Airlines, also continues to offer a reward for any new evidence. However, the case remains unsolved even today. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any info on any of these cases, please contact your local authorities who should be able to put you in touch with the correct departments. Stay tuned for more videos, just like this.